Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse this week, Meghan Markle has only gone to People magazine.
It's for People magazine, and of course this is all about the first episode drops of From Meghan with Love.
The whispers have turned to shouts. Just when we thought the royal drama couldn't sink to a new low, Meghan Markle has done it again. She's gone to People magazine not to celebrate her marriage, but to brief against her own husband. Yes, you heard that right. This isn't just a PR stunt. It's a calculated strike. A masterclass in media manipulation that leaves us asking, is this a soft launch for her solo act, or a very public uncoupling? People magazine has become her preferred sanctuary for soft-focus PR, but this wasn't the usual "we're so in love" spread. Oh no. This one had a razor-sharp edge, a narrative pivot so precise it could cut glass. The article features photographs that are 8 to 12 months old, a glaring detail that screams deliberate disconnect. Why no fresh photos if this was truly about their unified front? Because this wasn't about togetherness, it was about control. People magazine, for all intents and purposes, has become the Sussexes' biggest propagandist since Omid Scobie. The message wasn't subtle. Gone was any glowing praise of Harry's red-headed charm or gushing over their Netflix empire. Instead, Meghan delivered a veiled yet potent mic drop. She painted herself as the evolved, career-savvy, spiritually aligned woman on a journey of growth and empowerment. And Harry? Poor Harry was cast as the emotionally constipated sidekick, clinging to old woes. You could practically hear the subtext screaming, "If this marriage crashes and burns, don't look at me. I tried." She's even gone so far as to point out that the royal rift has nothing to do with her. She's simply not the issue. This isn't an interview. It's a public reframing. Let's be clear. This wasn't some spontaneous leak or casual remark. No, darling. This was a coordinated drop. A PR power move dressed up in pastel fonts and dreamy lighting. You don't land a profile like that in People magazine unless you're dialing directly. This was curated, crafted, and, let's be honest, weaponized. Think early 2000s celebrity split teasers, Britney and Justin coded messages, Brangelina lobbing quotes through glossy pages. But Meghan? She's going solo with a front-facing monologue. And the subtext is crystal clear. I'm thriving, he's dragging me down. Most celebrity couples know better than to air dirty laundry through dueling PR stories. But Meghan, she's blazing her own trail. Thank you very much. And she's not waiting around for Harry to unpack his royal trauma before she ascends to her next phase. Media mogul, lifestyle guru, or maybe even a presidential hopeful. The article painted a crystal clear portrait, and spoiler alert, it wasn't exactly a romantic watercolor of everlasting love. Meghan Markle is cast as the serene, enlightened goddess of Montecito, sipping organic teas, journaling under moonlight, rearranging crystals for optimal energy flow. She's the visionary, the grounded partner, the spiritual CEO of their brand new American life. Meanwhile, Harry, he's the disheveled sidekick, stuck in an emotional time warp, still pacing the halls of imaginary palaces and reliving royal trauma like it's Groundhog Day. This isn't just PR spin, it's a narrative pivot so sharp you could cut glass with it. The article essentially turns Meghan into Saint Meghan of Santa Barbara, all wisdom and wellness, while Harry is framed as the royal relic who just can't get with the program. And then came the dagger, the quote that launched 1,000 TikToks and sent royal Twitter into full meltdown mode. Meghan wishes her husband could feel less burdened by the past and more present in the life they've built together. Read it once, and it sounds like a concerned wife offering support. Read it twice, and it's pure PR poetry. This isn't just an observation, it's a diagnosis. A red flag wrapped in lavender-scented tissue paper. Translation: Harry's miserable and Meghan's done pretending. Otherwise, if Meghan is publicly wishing Harry could just snap out of it, then what does that say about their picture-perfect escape plan? The brilliance or ruthlessness of it all? Meghan never directly throws shade. She lets the quote do the heavy lifting. It's soft power at its finest, a whisper that echoes like a scream. Meghan gets to stay above the fray, the mindful queen, in linen and sandals, while Harry becomes the tragic figure, haunted, lost, and most DMing of all, not quite keeping up. In the battle of narratives, it's Saint Meghan versus sad Prince Harry, and this round goes to the Duchess with the diffuser. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, in the echoing halls of Buckingham Palace, the message couldn't be louder or colder. You lit the match. Don't expect us to put out the fire? The royal response? Deafening silence. And in royal terms, silence isn't passive, it's punitive. It's the firmest rejection they're ever going to give, wrapped in velvet and centuries of protocol. No statements, no rebuttals, no secret peace talks, just a quiet freeze so complete it could be mistaken for ghosting. Harry didn't just burn bridges. He nuked the royal landscape in spare. He went full scorched earth on his bloodline. Camilla, cast as the cunning PR puppet master, William portrayed as a simmering ball of jealousy and rage, and King Charles emotionally barren, aloof. That wasn't a family memoir. It was a televised family feud printed in hardcover. Reports suggest William is done, full stop. Camilla reportedly so disengaged she can barely be bothered to acknowledge his name. And Charles? He has bigger things to deal with, like staying alive. Reconciling with his wayward son isn't exactly at the top of the royal to-do list right now. No olive branches, not a sprig. The depth of this royal unraveling, however, runs far deeper than a few carefully placed magazine quotes. It's the silent, grinding friction of two individuals with fundamentally opposing views of their past, present, and future. Harry, forever tethered to the ghosts of Kensington, still seeks acknowledgement, apology, and access to a world that has irrevocably closed its doors. He clings to the romanticized ideal of family, even as that family has delivered the coldest of shoulders. He yearns for the warmth of the royal group chat, seemingly baffled that his public accusations and private revelations have yielded anything but ostracization. It's the ultimate consequence of lighting the family tree on fire and then wondering why you're not invited to the garden party. Meghan, on the other hand, embodies the spirit of pure, unadulterated reinvention. She doesn't just move on, she accelerates, leaving a vapor trail of carefully curated bliss. While Harry is stuck in the emotional quicksand of royal trauma, Meghan is already charting courses for her next venture. She's building her lifestyle empire, securing strategic partnerships with A-listers and powerful CEOs, and crafting a narrative of self-sufficiency. Her moves are precise, her language concise, every public utterance scrubbed clean and rolled out as if written by a focus group. She's not just managing a crisis, she's curating an image, and that image is one of a centered, forward-thinking woman who simply wants peace, a stark contrast to Harry's perceived brooding and haunted past. The most compelling aspect of this narrative is not the drama itself, but Meghan's masterclass in passive positioning. She doesn't engage in direct attacks, she doesn't throw tantrums. Instead, she allows silence and suggestion to do the heavy lifting. A quiet source close to Meghan is worth 1,000 screaming headlines. This polished detachment, this "I've done all I can" energy is pure catnip for public opinion. It paints her as the composed one, the victim of someone else's emotional immaturity, the strong woman carrying the weight of someone else's royal baggage. But at its core, it's strategic distancing. Meghan isn't just stepping away from the relationship's cracks. She's gently nudging us to look at who's standing on the fault line. And spoiler alert, the finger points squarely at Harry. Consider the paradox. Harry walked away from the firm for freedom, but what he got in return wasn't clarity. It was chaos, a blur of lawsuits, documentaries, and awkward red carpet appearances that feel more like an obligation than an opportunity. He's been suing tabloids, clapping back at media narratives, and giving lofty speeches about mental health, but none of it truly sticks. This is the same Harry who once flew helicopters in war zones, who carried the weight of representing the crown on global tours, who founded the Invictus Games and actually gave veterans something to believe in. That man feels like a faded photograph, still recognizable but distant, dimmed. Now, he looks like someone who left the castle but forgot to pack an identity, a royal with no role, stuck somewhere between celebrity and exiled noble, desperately trying to prove he matters in a world that's already moved on. Meghan, meanwhile, is sprinting ahead with the speed of someone who knows exactly where she's going. Branding deals? Check. Hollywood meetings? Always strategic. Partnerships with A-listers and female CEOs? In the works. Podcasts, documentaries, lifestyle products, interviews with just the right dash of mystery, all part of the master plan. She's not wandering, she's ascending. And if the latest People magazine moment is anything to go by, she's not slowing down to wait for Harry to catch his breath. The contrast couldn't be starker. Meghan is all future, all movement, all momentum. Harry? He's spinning, searching, still shadowboxing with a past that no longer wants him back. What's even more chilling is her apparent comfort with this stark divergence. Meghan seems unbothered, emotionally detached, like a woman, who's already processed the idea that they're no longer on the same page and is now politely, quietly turning it. Harry, by comparison, looks like he's clinging to a version of their union that only exists in spare. The version where escaping the monarchy would be the solution, not the beginning of a bigger problem. But the exit didn't fix anything. It just changed the scenery. Now, as Meghan builds her next empire in Montecito, Harry is the ghost in the guest house, still holding on to a royal past that's become a liability. This isn't a breakup, it's a phase out. And if you're wondering how this ends, don't look for fireworks. There will be no social media unfollows, no red carpet snubs, no messy Instagram lives. No. This ends as all expertly curated public exits do. with controlled narratives, emotionally distant phrasing, and a final joint statement that sounds like a brand collaboration. Because for Meghan, this was never about the drama, it was about the image. And in that department, she's already 2 moves ahead. While Harry's still playing defense, Meghan's quietly walking off the field, dry-eyed, perfectly styled, and on to the next chapter. The question remains, as Meghan ascends to her next curated venture, will Harry be left behind? A tragic figure caught between a past he can't escape and a future that's already moved on without him? The Montecito Manifesto has just begun, and Meghan's holding the pen. Beyond the glossy magazine profiles and carefully leaked soundbites, there's a deeper, more profound tragedy unfolding. Harry, the once charming prince, who seemed destined to carve his own unique path within the monarchy, now appears to be a man adrift. His every public move, from his legal battles to his earnest pleas for privacy, seems to backfire, pushing him further into the very spotlight he claimed to abhor. He traded the golden cage of royalty for a gilded one in California, only to discover that the bars of expectation and public scrutiny are just as strong, if not stronger, outside the palace walls. He's stuck in a perpetual loop, trying to rewrite a past that stubbornly refuses to be erased, while Meghan's laser focus is firmly on the future, seemingly unburdened by the very history Harry can't shake. This isn't just a marital discord, it's a battle of narratives, meticulously crafted and strategically deployed. Meghan's version of events paints her as the resilient survivor, the visionary entrepreneur who transcended the strictures of royal life. Her every venture, from Archewell to her latest culinary endeavors, is framed as a testament to her independent spirit and unwavering ambition. Harry's story, however, is increasingly becoming one of a man struggling to find his footing, haunted by the familial wounds he so publicly exposed. The chasm between their 2 realities grows wider with each passing headline, each carefully worded quote. It forces us to question, are they truly partners or simply 2 individuals sharing a zip code while pursuing fundamentally different destinies? The British royal family, masters of the never complain, never explain mantra, has perfected the art of silent retribution. Their lack of public engagement with Harry's accusations speaks volumes. It's a calculated strategy designed to deprive his narratives of oxygen and deny them legitimacy. There are no dramatic phone calls, no tearful reconciliations, no private pleas for understanding. Just a stoic, unyielding front that underscores the gravity of Harry's perceived betrayal. This silence isn't passive, it's an active, powerful form of punishment, a chilling reminder that some lines, once crossed, cannot be uncrossed, and some bonds, once severed, cannot be easily mended. Life in Montecito, with its sprawling estates and celebrity neighbors, offers a picturesque backdrop to Meghan's rebranding. But beneath the surface of Californian sunshine and organic smoothies, there's a palpable sense of isolation for Harry. He's separated from the military brotherhood he cherished, the philanthropic work that once defined him, and the childhood, friends who understood the unique pressures of his birthright. While Meghan cultivates new alliances, Harry appears increasingly isolated, adrift in a new world where his royal title carries less weight and his personal grievances seem to overshadow any potential for meaningful contribution. The Montecito bubble, while offering luxurious escape, may be inadvertently reinforcing his sense of displacement. It's jarring to reconcile the image of Prince Harry, the passionate advocate for wounded veterans, and the driving force behind the Invictus Games, with the man who published a tell-all memoir detailing private family feuds. The purpose that once seemed so clear, so vibrant, now feels clouded by bitterness and resentment. While his efforts for veterans remain commendable, the public narrative has shifted, often reducing him to a figure defined by his grievances. This paradox of purpose, from global hero to a man seemingly obsessed with past slights, leaves us wondering if he's truly found the peace and freedom he sought, or if he's merely exchanged one form of constraint for another, perhaps even more insidious one. What we are witnessing is a new blueprint for a royal exit, one devoid of the messy public breakdowns and dramatic declarations of the past. Instead, it's a quiet, methodical disentanglement, orchestrated with the precision of a corporate merger. Meghan's carefully controlled narrative is designed to ensure that when the inevitable whispers of a complete split become shouts, she emerges not as the cause, but as the consequence, the strong woman who simply moved forward when her partner couldn't. This calculated detachment is her most potent weapon, allowing her to sculpt public perception without ever appearing to be anything but the picture of serene, forward-thinking grace. As this dramatic chapter unfolds, the ultimate question remains: who truly holds the pen to their shared future? While Meghan seems determined to write her own next act, Harry appears to be caught in a narrative of his past, a story he can't quite finish and can't quite escape. Will he ever find a new identity that isn't defined by what he left behind? And will Meghan's relentless pursuit of her own destiny ultimately lead to a solo career leaving the prince she married as merely a poignant footnote in her ever-evolving Montecito manifesto? The answers, like so much of their story, remain shrouded in mystery, waiting for the next calculated reveal. For years, the narrative presented to the world was one of a united front against the rigid traditions of the monarchy, a fairy tale escape to freedom. But the recent People magazine profile shatters that illusion with a cold, precise surgical strike. It reveals not a couple in lockstep, but two individuals on wildly divergent paths, their shared brand a carefully constructed facade. The cracks in this carefully painted picture are now undeniable, exposing a truth far more complex and perhaps far more painful than any public spat or royal row. The Archewell banner, once a symbol of their combined vision, now appears to be a stage for Meghan's solo performance, with Harry relegated to a supporting role he never auditioned for. A PR masterstroke. Meghan's public embrace of joy, community, and wellness isn't merely a personal journey. It's a strategic weapon in the ongoing narrative war. By framing herself as the enlightened one, focused on inner peace and positive growth, she implicitly positions Harry as the antithesis, stuck in the past, burdened by negativity, and resistant to change. This is the art of psychological warfare dressed in linen and scented candles. It allows her to subtly shift blame without ever uttering a harsh word, creating a public perception that she is the mature, forward-thinking partner, while Harry is the one hindering their shared progress. It's a PR masterstroke, using the language of self-improvement to carve out a distinct and advantageous position. The very foundation of their union, once presented as an unbreakable bond forged against adversity, now appears to be unraveling thread by thread. The Montecito mansion, designed as their sanctuary, may instead be a gilded cage for Harry, a constant reminder of the life he chose, and perhaps the life he inadvertently lost. The absence of Harry in Meghan's personal narrative, her focus on her individual growth and entrepreneurial endeavors, paints a stark picture of a partnership that is emotionally, if not yet physically, fractured. The unified front against the palace has seemingly dissolved into a singular pursuit of personal ambition, leaving Harry to contend with the wreckage of his past, largely alone. The tension in their dynamic stems from an inevitable collision: Harry's unwavering gaze on the past versus Meghan's relentless sprint towards the future. He is still fighting battles long concluded, seeking validation from an institution that has ghosted him, and reliving traumas he so vividly recounted in his memoir. She, conversely, is already envisioning her next business venture, her next philanthropic initiative, her next curated public appearance. This fundamental divergence creates an emotional chasm that no shared address or joint title can bridge. The question is no longer if these two paths will diverge completely, but when and what public spectacle will accompany the final, inevitable split of the Montecito dream.